Hi, I'm Trevor from Night Sky Voyager, and today I'm at one of my favorite places on the planet, Cherry Springs State Park in north central Pennsylvania, one of the best places for stargazing east of the Mississippi in the United States. Part of the reason it's so great for stargazing is because it's completely off the beaten path. Today, I'm giving you the total visitor's guide to coming to Cherry Springs so that you can come prepared and be ready for a wonderful night of stargazing. Cherry Springs is famous for its supremely dark skies in an area of the country that is generally devoid of them. This park has a Bortle rating of 2, which is a way to measure light pollution that means that it has exceptionally dark skies. Cherry Springs also has the benefit of being a premier gold-level dark sky park with the International Dark Sky Association. If you haven't been here before and haven't had a chance to get out under perfectly dark skies, this is a very approachable place for you to come. In this comprehensive visitor's guide, we'll leverage my years of experience coming here and show you all about the astronomy field so that when you show up, you know exactly what to do and feel like you've been here 100 times. I've been coming to Cherry Springs for about 12 or 13 years and I've watched it change dramatically over time. One thing that hasn't changed all that much is how dark the skies are and what a wonderful experience it is for stargazers. Before coming here, I had never seen the Milky Way, but if you can get a clear night out here, it is as bright can be. It will totally knock your socks off. I'll also give you a tour of the new area across the street, but if you're up for pulling an all-nighter, the astronomy field is where to be. So let's go take a look around the park. For those of you who have been here before, note that if you're driving south on Route 44 and see this sign, you've gone too far. The entrance to the park has been relocated onto East Fork Road, the road just before the sign. If you're coming from the other direction, you will want to drive until you see this sign, then make an immediate left onto East Fork Road. The new park entrance will be on your left and it'll be the first thing you see. As of March 2026, there is no signage marking the park entrance. If you need supplies before heading into Cherry Springs, the town of Coudersport is about 30 minutes away and has gas, groceries, and restaurants. If you need a larger store, the nearest Walmart is about 80 minutes from the park in Olean, New York. Plan ahead. Once you're set up for the night, you won't want to make that drive. Alright, before we keep going, just a quick message from me. The goal of Night Sky Voyager is simple. Help get more people outside and actually experiencing the night sky for themselves. If you'd like to support the channel, there are 2 easy ways. You can become a channel member. It's just a couple dollars a month and it helps me keep making these videos. You also get a few perks. And if you want to show that you're part of the community, check out the Night Sky Voyager merch store. The link is in the description. I'm so grateful for your support of my channel. Let's get back to the program. Before we walk through the park, let's get oriented, because Cherry Springs has a few distinct areas and understanding how they relate to each other will make everything that follows a lot clearer. The main road running through the park is Route 44. That's your spine. Almost everything at Cherry Springs sits right along or just off of it. Coming in from the north, you'll turn onto East Fork Road to reach the park entrance. As of March 2026, there's no signage marking it, so keep that in mind. The entrance will be on your left. The first major area you'll encounter is the public observing area. This large open expanse here was formerly an airstrip and has been significantly developed in the last couple of years. It's designed for casual visitors who want to come and go freely without the stricter rules of the overnight field. Just to the east of the public area is the rustic campground. This is traditional camping. Campfires, standard light rules, and is bookable through the Pennsylvania State Park's reservation system. A good option if you want a more relaxed experience. Cross Route 44 and you're on the other side of the park entirely. The first thing you'll hit is the front gate, which we'll talk about in detail shortly. Beyond the gate is the overnight astronomy field. This is the heart of Cherry Springs. A large open grass field with internal roads, power stations, restrooms, and everything a dedicated observer needs for a full night under the stars. If you're here for the darkest skies possible, this is where you want to be. The picnic pavilion sits just off the road and is a useful landmark for orienting yourself when you first arrive. And finally, West Branch Road branches off Route 44 to the south. Follow that for about 10 minutes and you'll reach Lyman Run State Park, where the showers are. We'll also cover that in detail later. The last thing that bears mentioning while we're looking at the map is where people set up. The power stations are scattered all throughout the park, but generally speaking, people who bring large RVs or motorhomes park around the perimeter so that they don't obscure the view of people with smaller setups. If you have a tent or a small pop-up camper or trailer, you can move more towards the middle of the field, but larger equipment needs to be towards the outside. That's the full layout. 2 sides of Route 44, 2 different experiences. Now let's go take a closer look. The first stop on our tour is the front gate. This gate is used to restrict access to the overnight astronomy field and will be open all day long. But when people are actively observing on the observing field, it will be closed at nighttime. The purpose of this is to restrict cars from coming and going. Number one, that is to limit the amount of headlights that are coming in and out of the park and ruining people's dark adaptation, but also for safety reasons, because if the field is full, people are walking around all over the place and it's just not safe to be driving cars through the area. These gates don't have any locks on them, only a pin that slides in, and it's the responsibility of the folks using the observing field to close them at dusk and reopen them again in the morning. On any new moon weekend or during star parties, people will come up here and close the gate around dusk. And if the gate is closed, you're stuck outside. That doesn't mean that your night is over. If you have equipment or your gear or anything in here, there's parking over here and you can leave your car and walk in. This is a new addition to the park over the last year or so, and it's a big improvement from the way things used to be. The first building that you'll see upon entering the park is the one behind me, and that is the main restroom for the park. Besides having a men's and women's restroom, there's also a family-assisted restroom. The bathrooms are modern with flush toilets and they are usually very clean, although the water isn't potable, meaning you don't want to drink it. At the far end of the field is a pit latrine, and even if I'm back on that side of the field, I'll always walk up here and use the flush toilets. They're much nicer. On Star Party weekends, when there's over 500 people on the field, they will also bring in porta potties that they place throughout the area. It's a really nice feature to have when everything is so busy. Let's talk for a moment about how you pay for your permit to spend a night on the observing field. Everything here works on the honors system, and you put your cash into an envelope with your personal information on it that you can get on the building behind me. This green post here is where you deposit your envelope with your cash. It's not marked all that well, and I've seen people walking around struggling to find it, but there's a slot right here on the side where you can slide in your envelope. As of March 2026, overnight access to the astronomy field is $25 per night. A limited number of Galaxy Passes are also available at Lyman Run State Park for $200, which acts as a season pass. Another great but maybe unintentional feature of this building is this post here. I think it's for some sort of telecommunications system, but it also serves as a really great high point for you to use to align your finder scopes on your telescope with, because it's out here in the clear and it's a pretty good distance from everything on the field. So take note of that, because I use that every time I come out here. Next, we'll talk about some of the other amenities that are available for guests on the field, and after that, I'll give you a look of the horizons to the different directions. As you enter the astronomy field, I want to draw your attention to a couple things. First of all are the observing domes behind me. And at least at one point in time, you could rent them out. And I know people who would rent out these domes, set up their equipment inside, and lock it, and then they would park and walk in the evenings. After filming this segment, I spoke with a park ranger and learned that the domes are now for decoration only. There are no plans to reopen them for rental. The other thing you'll notice are these water spigots out here in the field. There are several of them throughout the field. I mentioned that the water in the bathroom was non-potable. However, this is potable, and this is the water source that we use when we're visiting. One of the main amenities of staying on this field is having access to power. Looking out on the field, I count about 20 of these power stations, and each of them have panels on both sides that are accessible to people. Inside of these are 3 individual 20 amp circuit breakers, and each is connected to a duplex GFCI covered outlet, so they are safe to use outdoors. And since there's 2 sides to these, that means that there are 12 total outlets on each power station. Their primary use is for powering astronomy equipment and charging batteries and phones and things. The park tells you that you shouldn't be plugging in RVs or any major equipment into any of these. They're mostly for use for telescopes, batteries, phones, that sort of thing. When you arrive and get to use these, just make sure that the circuit breaker for the outlet that you want is on. I've been up here on some of the busiest weekends of the season where there's over 500 people on the field, and there is a little bit of jockeying to make sure that you can get a slot. But for the most part, people are able to have access to at least 1 slot on here. And I've never had any problems with any of the breakers blowing or tripping. However, whenever I'm coming up here, I always bring a 50 or 100 foot long extension cord because you never quite know where you're going to fit in, and not having power accessibility for my setup would be a total catastrophe. At a few locations throughout the park, they have these concrete circles that are really good for people who have big Dobsonian telescopes that need to sit up and have a nice stable ground. But I think there's only 2 or 3 of them out here. There's one towards the front and there's 2 over towards this way, and they are usually at a premium. But it's good to know if you get here early or you're the only person up here, it's a nice feature to have. And they're very close to power stations as well. While there are trees around the perimeter of the field that slightly limit the horizons, they also help block localized light pollution and contribute to the overall observing experience. In practice, they don't detract from what you'll see here. This footage was shot from the center of the field, looking in all directions. Now that you have a sense of the field and what you're working with out there, let's talk about what you need to know before your first night, the rules, the etiquette, and how to basically prepare for a successful visit. Before you head out onto the field, there are a few rules worth knowing, because some of them might surprise you. Alcohol is prohibited throughout the entire Pennsylvania State Park system, so leave it at home. Green laser pointers are not allowed anywhere in the park at any time. Open flames are prohibited during dark hours, and that includes propane camp stoves. Electric heaters and coffee warmers are fine, but anything with a flame is not. If you want a campfire, that's available at the rustic campground across the road with a separate reservation. The no pets policy applies to the entire park, not just the observing field. Food storage really matters here. Bears, raccoons, and porcupines are common. Keep food in your vehicle, keep your area clean, and use the yellow dumpster on the way out. On the field itself, the etiquette is straightforward. Red lights only, keep noise down, and be mindful of things like car doors and interior lights. A brief flash of white light affects everyone around you. People are out there to observe, and the courtesy you show is the courtesy you'll receive back. Lodging is also worth mentioning. Cherry Springs is strongly associated with camping, but it's not limited to it. There are hotels, cabins, and lodges within 15 to 30 minutes of the park, and a lot of people set up their equipment on the field and return to their lodging to sleep or warm up. The parking area outside the gate makes that very easy. The other thing you need to be ready for is the conditions, and I say this from personal experience. The park sits at elevation, and temperatures drop fast after sunset. Even on nights that start warm, it can get cold quickly and very dewy. Dress in layers and come prepared for a range of conditions, no matter what the forecast says. The dew at Cherry Springs specifically can get intense, and your telescope needs to be ready for it. Dew heater straps for your optics are not optional here. They're absolutely essential. I say that because I learned it the hard way. My first visit, we were clouded out for days. When we finally got a clear night, I was completely unprepared for the dew. My telescope fogged out within the first hour, and my whole night was ruined. All of it preventable. If you haven't watched my video on dew control, I'd recommend checking it out before your trip. You can click right up here to watch it. One more thing on preparation. Plan to arrive several hours before dusk. The gate closes at dark and you want time to find your spot, get set up, and have your equipment aligned before the sky goes fully dark. Rushing your setup is a bad way to start a long night. Twice per year, the park hosts 2 large star parties where attendance is capped around 500 people. These events require pre-registration and the park is closed to anyone who is not registered. The Cherry Springs Star Party is typically held late in spring or early summer, often in June, while the Black Forest Star Party takes place in autumn, usually mid to late September or early October. There is also an annual Woodsman show in August, which can sometimes overlap with new moon weekends and limit access to the park. If you're planning to make a trip, make sure you check these dates ahead of time to avoid a long and unproductive drive. Not everyone wants to spend the entire night on the overnight observing field. Directly across the street is the public observing area. There's currently no walking path connecting the two, so be careful crossing the road. Right now I'm at the new public observing area. This part of the park is for people who are a little bit less serious about all of this and they want to be able to come and go and maybe not deal with as strict of light restrictions. This used to be an old airstrip, but in the last couple years it has changed dramatically as the Pennsylvania parks have really developed the space out. We drove through here last night in the evening and all of these light pylons are emitting a faint red light, which is really nice to see. You'll also see behind me that they've got a couple charging stations for electric vehicles up here. So this is really improving the accessibility for people to come up here, especially those who don't want to spend the whole night locked in at the astronomy field. This is a good opportunity for people to come out and maybe be a little bit more casual with their observing, but it also offers you the capability to park over here and walk into the astronomy field across the street if you'd like to. So we'll walk around here for a minute and show you some of the things that they've put in the last couple years. You have full bathroom facilities over here and some kind of kiosk I'm imagining that they're going to be using for visitors. I also learned from a ranger that this kiosk will eventually become the main check-in point for both sides of the park. The key word there was eventually. Right next to the parking lot is this huge mound, and if we follow this trail here, on the other side of this mound they have constructed a large amphitheater. There used to be a very small amphitheater across the street at the astronomy field, and it has since been dramatically upsized and built over here so that they can put in programs throughout the season. Directly across from the amphitheater and right behind me are campgrounds that you can reserve through the reservation system that the Pennsylvania State Parks uses. I believe it's part of the Lyman Run reservation system. And behind there, it's more traditional kind of camping where you can have campfires and lights and targeted towards people who want to come and enjoy the night sky here, but don't want to go as serious as some of the folks that are across on the astronomy field. I haven't had a chance to stay over here yet, but just observing people being out here, it looks like a very nice campground, very well developed with a lot of amenities, and would really be a great option for people who don't want to be on the overnight astronomy field and want to have a little more relaxed camping or family experience. One thing Cherry Springs doesn't have is showers, but just 15 minutes down the road at Lyman Run State Park, you'll find them. It's not the easiest place to find the first time, so I wanted to show you exactly how to get there. From the main park entrance at Cherry Springs, turn right onto East Fork Road. Then take an immediate right onto Route 44 South. Take a left onto West Branch Road and follow this winding road down into the valley for about 10 minutes. You'll eventually cross a bridge, and following the signs for Lyman Run State Park will turn left. Follow the signs for the Rangers Station on the right and take that all the way back into the Daggett campground until you see the shower house. So we made the 15-minute drive down to Lyman Run State Park, which is where the showers are. The gate is closed for this time of year. We'll go ahead and walk down there and show you where you can park and how you can access the restrooms and the showers. Behind me is the shower house at Lyman Run State Park. It's accessible to people who are camping up at Cherry Springs for a small fee. And it's really nice to be able to get a nice hot shower after a cold night up observing when you've been chilled to the bone under clear skies. There's restrooms for the men and the women's, and I probably can't get in there to show you what they look like, but they are very modern and they keep them very clean. Here's the entrance to the bathhouse on this far side. And as you can see, there's a men and a women's here. And on the door, they have posted non-Lyman Run State Park campers must pay $4 fee per shower. There is a honor system box here that you can drop your cash into. So the doors are locked, and I can't show you what it looks like inside, but at least on the men's side, it has 2 showers. One of them is a large handicapped accessible one, and then there's also 2 toilets and I think at least one or 2 urinals and 2 side-by-side sinks. Out in front of the building here, there's parking for about 6 cars or so, and it's only a 15-minute drive one way to get down here. Well worth the drive when you have all day to rest up after observing all evening. While you're down here to take a shower, there's also some other things that you can do. There is a beach down here, and people will come down here and swim all summer long, although earlier in the spring the water is pretty chilly. I don't know if I would recommend that. But later in the summer, there's definitely a lot of swimmers down here. And there's also a lot of good hiking. And then over to this side, there's a really cool dam that you can go and hike around. I'm sure there's a lot of fishing and other things that you could do during the day down here while you're on your trip. That covers everything you need to know to plan your first trip to Cherry Springs. The rest is just showing up. I've been coming to Cherry Springs for a long time now, and I still look forward to every single trip. The skies change with the seasons, the field fills up differently depending on the weekend, and every clear night out there feels a little bit different from the last. But the thing that stayed consistent across all of it is that this place delivers. If you put in the planning, show prepared, and get a clear night, Cherry Springs will not let you down. If you have questions about planning your trip, drop them in the comments. I read them and I'm happy to help. If you found this guide useful, please take a moment to like the video and consider subscribing to Night Sky Voyager. It's free, it helps the channel reach more people who are just getting started, and there's a lot more content on visual observing in telescopes waiting for you. I hope you found this information helpful. I've been coming to Cherry Springs for about 12 or 13 years now, and it's one of my absolute favorite places to visit. Not only because of the pristinely dark skies that it experiences here, but because it's a really charming place to visit. The town is wonderful, and the nature of the area is really spectacular. There's a lot of hiking to do and great things to see in the area, and I absolutely love coming here. Cherry Springs is a very special place to me, and I hope that sharing this information with you and my experience in traveling here over the years helps you plan your first trip and make it successful. This is Trevor from Night Sky Voyager, wishing you clear skies.